Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our strength where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. We have a really fun episode today. We have special guest Conan Grun. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
We've been hanging out for the past like 20 minutes, and I couldn't think to ask you how to say your last name before. And Conan, I don't know how much you tune in, but know that I mess up almost every name, so I'm glad I hit that
100%.
We're also here with Robbie Bobby. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? How we doing?
Not bad. Ready to get into this bold predictions. We got a jam-packed show, so I'm kind of like flowing through this. I really, I'm Conan. We're pumped to have you on here today, man.
100%.
I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, we just got done with work. We're all cracked open some drinks and ready to kind of get flowing with some weird, bold predictions. There it is, boys. But before we do that, Conan, let's kind of get to know you, right? So I'm going to do kind of the rapid fire sort of questions, just maybe one or two worded answers, and then we'll just keep going, go through as many as we can. And then if you wouldn't mind, after the questions, kind of tell people where they could find you. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Favorite NFL team. And I have a guess already.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I got the right finger up. There you go. Technically the Patriots, I do say a lot of the time. I'm now more of a fan of whoever I have on my fantasy teams. I got into football through fantasy football. I didn't get into football through football itself, really. So at this point, really, I'm cheering more for those guys on my rosters, on the guys I got lots of exposure to. And then, Patriots, I'm still rooting for the win. But, I got Red Zone on the big TV nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Red
Zone's key.
It's a must.
Absolutely.
Who is your current favorite NFL player?
My favorite NFL player is honestly, I usually say it's actually Jamal Williams, because he is a goofy, funny, genuine, just awesome guy. And I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've seen some viral. Yep, exactly. They brought him in, they fed him good. Like he's just a funny guy. You hear him talk, and it's like, I don't know if you guys follow basketball, NBA at all, but he has a very similar personality to me as Anthony Edwards, who's just also one of the most lovable dudes.
You mean Kermit?
Kermit.
And but yeah, so it's I know that's like a little bit different of an answer. It's not even based on football skill or being on my favorite team, but to me that's what makes me like football. These dudes that are fun, that I like to follow and just even watch these little interviews. Like it's just really fun for me to watch, and not every player is like that, obviously, as you know. So I think he takes it for me.
He's a good one to pick.
I like that. I like that answer. That's a good one.
Recent show you've watched?
Ooh, well, I'll go with a quick little twofer. I mean, Stranger Things I've watched for a while. Obviously, exactly. Season 4 just came out. I still have the last episode, the one that is basically a movie, 2.5 hours left. Saving that for when I got some time. And then the other one that I actually just started, have now watched 6 episodes of it, is The Boys. And I know everyone loves that.
Season 3 or season 1?
No, like from the beginning.
Wow.
I never watched it. My friend's been telling me for years, months, get into it. It's
Mhm.
awesome. And then my boss actually told me last week, he's like, oh, you watch The Boys? I'm like, all right, now I got to give it a shot. I sat
Something
down.
to talk with the boss.
Yeah. At first sitting, I watched 6 episodes.
It's so good.
Dude, it's
I'm hooked for sure.
It gets better.
Oh, I've heard it just gets crazier and crazier in a good way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
recent movie you've watched outside of Stranger Things 2.5 hours, even though you haven't got to that yet, but that is a movie.
Huh. So, I mean, a little bit about me. I'm not honestly a huge movie guy. I like my episodes. I'll watch 6 episodes in a sitting, but I actually get up. I get up and I go, grab a quick drink or make a sandwich, whatever it is. Like, I like having that ability where I don't have to actually pause the movie in the middle or anything to go do 10 minutes of just stuff. I'm genuinely trying to think of the last movie I watched. I think actually it was another movie that I definitely, being from Boston, should have watched earlier and been told to watch for years and years. It's The Town.
Oh,
That might be the last movie I watched, and great movie, obviously.
Yeah.
Just never got around to it. Finally did recently.
it's a killer. Yeah,
Did not disappoint.
especially from Boston. You got to see that, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I got 3 more for you. So, favorite video or board game? You don't have to do one of each, but I don't know if you're a video game person or a board game person.
I definitely can give you. I could give you a bunch, honestly, but I'll give you one for each. Video game, definitely do like gaming. It's a little harder to find the time and to do that nowadays, but I'm a big Rocket League guy. That's been my game for a few years now.
Nice.
I try to play that, at least twice a week with some of my buddies. But it's really, more so because I like hanging out online, talking to my friends. It's like, it's a way, honestly, to keep in touch with some of the guys, talk with all the time and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then board game, it's hands down, it's Settlers of Catan. That's been my game for years. We played it. I had
recently.
It's my favorite board game. It's gotten really popular recently, but I used to play that almost every day after high school, senior year. So that's my game. We play online sometimes even. Oh, you got to give it a shot.
And it does seem like it has grown in popularity recently, because I think the first time I played it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and then I've played it probably 4 or 5 times since then. I do not own it though. It is good.
Yeah.
Cat or dog person?
Ooh, this is this might turn some people the wrong way, but
I think
I do love. Obviously you do, but with that little intro. But so I love cats and dogs. I love both. I grew up without either all my life, and then when my mom actually moved over to Japan, where I'm from, we talked about that a little bit. I don't know, most people don't even know that, but anyway, I moved in with a different family, and they actually had 4 dogs and 3 cats. And so it was a very big culture shock in terms of pets. Honestly, it was crazy. And and because of personal experiences, my cats are the best part of dogs and the best part of cats. And my dogs are like just antisocial. And so and so it's like good dogs, awesome, but a good cat also just so awesome. And because I'm surrounded by the good cats way more than good dogs, I think if I had to pick one, it would have to be cat. But I definitely imagine I will have at least one of each when I'm older, have my own place and stuff like that.
Okay.
No, it's I couldn't really cut one out.
I
Like
figured
it's like
from
I
our
love
little
both.
talk earlier. But, yeah, I figured.
I used to be a full on dog person, but I get married, end up with 2 cats in here, and now I love them both. So I don't even know which way I would go either.
It's tough.
Yeah, I'm going to a wedding in by Mario in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I didn't know he had cats, so I asked him, "Hey, can I stay the night after the wedding?" He's like, "Just a heads up, I have a couple cats." Like, that's a game changer. I might have to.
Are you
reconsider.
allergic, or are you just not a cat guy? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean,
that's understandable.
I played with a cat one time in my life. I loved every second of it. After that, I can't do it.
The last question I did have for you, because I asked everybody, are you a fellow dad? You married? Living your life?
Fair enough to ask for sure. I'm 25. I'm 2 years out of
You're a young
college.
buck.
So yeah, I'm a little bit younger as opposed to a lot of people I talk to. Obviously, it has become an industry and kind of thing that younger people are getting into. I know a guy that's 15 and he's really making a name for himself. But so yeah, I'm single, unmarried right now, just living with some roommates post college years, and
Nice.
just kind of
Take
trying to
advantage.
do what I love
days.
doing as much as I
The
can, which
days.
involves obviously this type of stuff, the fantasy football space, but also my jobs kind of are soccer related, which is my other love.
Okay.
I do a lot of coaching and even social media and just other stuff. So
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah.
Though. I mean, like, I didn't mean to put you on blast there. Just fun thing to
No.
do. Like when we're called the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad, I'm not. A dad. I have my pets. There's half of us are dads, but I definitely have the dad bod going on. So like I can meet some of the qualities and things. So I didn't mean to put you on blast or anything, but this the time 25. That's a fun time, man. That's a
Absolutely
great years. It's cool that you kind of committed to doing this. Like you're on Twitter, being active with the community. Like that's a lot of commitment to just maintain and a lot of time that you're putting into all the research and stuff. So good for you, man.
I appreciate that.
Robbie, are you here with us? Because I don't see you right now. Okay. We're gonna just slide him off until he gets back. So Conan, I'd had a dad bod topic today, and we do this about once every episode if we're running good on time, and we're kind of running short. But I do want to ask, do you play golf? And if you do, tell me the weakest part about your golf game. You're a soccer player, you watch football, so I don't know if you play golf or not.
So yeah, that is definitely something again that I want to get into. Actually, I got a lot of friends.
Don't do it.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that are really getting into it. Obviously, COVID, that was like a big thing that people like picked up post COVID, I feel like for some reason.
Yeah.
But so I actually have never been golfing, like just actually ripping 9 or 18 holes or anything like that. Do love mini golf though, but in terms of sports I play, it's always been soccer, and actually basketball is the other sport that I do play. But obviously I love football, and I do love watching almost every sport. Golf is probably not on that list though. unless it's like Brady and Mahomes and Josh Allen and them duking it out on the golf course. I watch those.
No, it's a complicated, awful sort of game. Welcome back to Robbie, by the way.
Hey.
It is impossible. Like the hardest sport I've ever played, and I'm not athletic at all, so maybe that also makes it harder for me. Robbie, tell me what your weakest part of your golf game is.
Golf game.
Oh, this is how long you've been gone, bro.
I thought we were talking soccer.
Yeah, out now.
I would say consistency. There's days where I can hit my wedges and my irons pure and perfect, and then there's days where I can't hit them, but I can hit my driver solid right down the middle every time. So it's just getting the whole game together, I would say, is my hardest. The one day I'll hit my driver good, irons suck. The other day my irons are good, my driver
That's
sucks.
a game. That's a game, dude, right?
Such a
I mean,
mental.
they're two
It's
different.
such a
They
mental
are
mess.
two different. Like if you're hitting good on the driver, that means you're finally hitting the way you're supposed to hit your driver, which is completely different than the way you're supposed to hit your wedges. So it just throws you completely off. You're like, oh, I'm crushing the driver today. Then you go try to crush your wedge, and it's over.
Yeah, such a disaster.
That's probably my biggest issue right now, which used to be just driving alone. So my irons were real nice. Can't get the driver down.
It's all right. We'll get there, Mario.
I know.
But
Robbie,
I did want to bring up.
Before we get into the news, go ahead and kind of and Conan needs to put a self plug in here before we get
go ahead.
too caught up.
Do
with
that
time.
first, Conan. Give kind of a rundown of your
where to find you, what you're doing,
and
then I promise we'll finally get to fantasy football. This is kind of our MO. We take a little bit too long to probably get going on the episode, but we got some good stuff coming.
We like to talk.
So go ahead and give us that plug. Yeah, we do.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. So as you know, as you can see, actually, I'm at One Stat One Day over on Twitter. And that's basically something I started only a few months ago, but just being me and being a stat and just a numbers kind of guy, I would regularly just surf different databases and sites and just be looking at random splits, random, just anything I could. And I just loved finding names. I'm like, wow, like, Jawan Johnson had the most fourth down catch, like, just whatever it is. It's like, I loved finding some of those things. And so I decided to kind of make it a Twitter thing, a game, a stat trivia thing, basically. And the people really ran with it more than I could have hoped for, more than I imagined. And so I regularly now get up 50, 100 different guessers and names that people think on my different stats. And I've absolutely loved just engaging with everyone. Obviously, we met through just you guys finding me in the stats, and I'm curious to find out. I think you're going to speak a little bit about just how you found me and stuff like that too. And then besides that, I do more technical fantasy football work where I write over at DFF, Dynasty Football Factory. You can also find them there on Twitter as well. And I do have in my bio on Twitter a link to where you can see any of my articles on their site.
Nice. Yeah. So kind of a rundown of what we started here. Me and Mario and a couple of our other guys had a podcast, 2019, Mario? 18, 19?
19.
19. And then COVID, a lot of uncertainties. We weren't sure what's going on.
Two kids and COVID.
Yeah. So we had a lot going on. Took some time off. This summer, I wanted to get it back. So me and Mario have been talking about the past year or so about getting back. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to start a Twitter, see what happens, kind of get back in the community, just try to build it up. And I started as Fantasy Football Files. And that's when I found you. I was just kind of browsing for random stuff.
I was going to say, I totally remember that name.
Yeah.
And I
did
not know.
That was probably
I'm sure
April.
of it. Robbie was probably posting all over.
Oh, it was. That was probably in April. And I don't know how many followers you had at the time, but it wasn't where you are now, which is a testament to like what you built so quickly. It's pretty. But there were so you're in Boston. So you were replying to me at I would be up at 3 a.m. trying to figure this damn stat of the day out. Like who had the most fourth down catches in the fourth quarter, something like that. I'm sitting there at 3 a.m. God damn it. Like I can't figure it out. But I don't know how you found the time to reply to everybody. Because there were, hundreds of tweets coming at you every day. It's crazy. So what you do is, it's awesome and super impressive. And just the following you have now, I truly don't know how you do it with the amount of interaction you got going on. But it's cool. It's awesome. Again, if you guys go follow him, he puts a stat up every day. And it's so much fun. It really is.
No, I really appreciate that. I definitely have toned it down a little bit from since when you probably first saw me. I think from when I started in kind of February till mid-April or May or so, I was like almost 7 days a week and really replying at all hours of the day. Since then, I've kind of really tried to limit it so I'm not making myself go crazy. But when I do, I post. So now it's basically a routine of where I'll post a stat at night, usually around 11 p.m. Eastern time. And I will respond for the next hour or two until I fall asleep, until I go to bed, all of them as I can. And then the next day I kind of just do as they come in. I'll respond best I can. And really, I don't think I missed too many. I know there's some that people guess after I actually post the answer already. And those ones I don't really, I'm like, all right, like you're a little bit late here. But no, I love seeing all the different, there's, some people provide their logic for each guess, which I love seeing, it's like Kirk Cousins was bad in this quarter. I know it for a fact. I saw it because I'm a Vikings fan. It's like, sure enough, it was his guy or his receiver or whatever. And so So I love seeing all the different logic, or some of the guys that just guess their guy every time, even if it's a bad stat. It's like I wouldn't want my guy being in the bad stat.
Yeah.
But so it's been just super fun, and I definitely appreciate you having me on, but also just all the different just guessers, followers, everyone that takes the time to do the guessing and to play the game, because I definitely have a lot of fun doing it too.
That's awesome, man. I know Robbie does. Like, I can't talk about it enough. I even
Sorry,
have
my
made fun of him. Like,
camera's messing up here. I'm gonna try to fix something, but yeah, I love it. Man.
We're gonna get it's. Oh, there you go. You're back.
It's got to be a cord.
Let's get moving to the news, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick hitter on each of these, and I mean a quick, so we can get into our bold predictions. So, beat reporter saying Rashad Penny is by far the number one in Seattle. Conan, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I've always been under the assumption that Penny will still start as the number one in that backfield. I know they drafted Kenneth Walker. Well, actually, no, Ken Walker now.
Yeah,
Ken Walker now.
But so I know obviously they gave him solid draft capital, but with how explosive and just good Penny was at the end of last year when he was finally healthy, I just think it would be crazy for the team when they brought him back on that 1-year deal to not see if he can actually replicate that for, a whole season. Maybe not that, but close to it. And so I do think Ken Walker by the end of the year might factor in a little bit more, but Penny, I think, will have the first crack almost every given week, at least to start the season. So I think that's just confirming what we,
I think I agree with what you're saying. It means nothing to me, though, that Penny gets the first crack at it. I just don't trust it, man. Like, I don't at all. We've seen it so many times now. Like, why do we want to get burned again? Now, maybe, I guess, to the point where it's like, avoid Ken Walker now. Maybe that's
kind of more where I'm at.
Yeah.
But the ADP with Rashard Penny, he's going, like RB 30 or something like that.
He's moving up slowly.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him that cheap, it's a flyer on a starting running back. I'm more concerned about the fact that Ken Walker, whatever you want to call him, he's going ahead of Penny. And I get it in Dynasty. That's something. But in a redraft, no keeper, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Daniel Bellinger getting run as number one tight end in Giants camp. Does that mean anything to? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've heard. No worries. I've heard. I feel like we've heard that report maybe a month ago. I heard something a little rumbling about that. And I do like the player. But I think that'll be more so as we get closer to the season. I'll really buy in, because I do think RSJ Ricky Seals-Jones does have a little bit of deep juice, deep sleeper upside. He's produced when he's given that opportunity. And I'm not saying I'm looking for him or he's on my dad bod squad or anything like that. But I do think that they brought him over when they lost Evan Ingram. They brought him over. And so I do think he'll at least get the opportunity to be the one himself. But if Bellinger, keeps being great in camp and they keep lining up as the number one, it's like that'll be something we have to really pay attention to as we get closer to the preseason and stuff.
Could be a sneaky undrafted tight end that comes.
Mm-hmm. I like him. I think this affects Dynasty more than redraft. I think it's tough to kind of count on him for a redraft league, but in Dynasty, it's something to take note of. I really do, because I think if he
Dynasty definitely.
If he starts getting ones, with the one reps this early in camp, they must like him.
Yeah,
He's definitely a Dynasty stash.
Yeah.
The biggest news that we've had in months, maybe just a month, Baker traded to Carolina.
Yeah, finally.
Sad for us Brown fans.
I'm cool with
it. What we got back. I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity each to say yes or no if this is a player that is affected by this. Do you rank DJ Moore higher from this, Conan?
I haven't made any changes post this news specifically, but I don't think I will be raising him or dropping him at all either.
Mine's the same as well. I'm keeping him level. Rob?
Yeah, he's staying where I don't think it affects DJ. I mean, how he had 160, 170 targets last year. If anything, it's gonna make him maybe drop him a little bit. If anything, to me,
kind of, because Baker does like to move it around. But I don't know. Maybe he'll get a TD or two extra out of this.
That's the thing. He's definitely more accurate. So
Robbie Anderson, higher or lower on Robbie?
Is there like a do not care
Yes.
option? Yeah,
I don't care.
It's like, are we going to really trust that Baker can keep two receivers relevant in fantasy while also having Christian McCaffrey in that backfield? And it's just like, there's just no chance that Robbie will be anything besides like having one or two big spike touchdown, like one long touchdown week or something. But I don't think he's really.
Best ball, he might be relevant.
Maybe best ball.
Maybe best ball, you take him with one of your last picks.
He was top 10 in deep ball accuracy.
I think he was second, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's second, 42%, something like that, with like 20 plus passes.
Yeah. Isn't he retiring though?
Robbie, he might be. And then lastly, before we get to bold predictions, CMC. Does that change anything? Keep it the same?
I think
again,
it's the same.
Don't care.
For me, I think it's the same.
I'm keeping him the same
because they plan out when they give him the ball more so than it's
not like
ball.
Those. Yeah.
You know,
I honestly he may be my redraft number one running back come another few weeks. Honestly,
Boom.
he's very close behind at number 2 already. And I do think while it's not a huge upgrade by any means, obviously we just said their receivers are not getting any bump. I do think Baker is overall slightly better than whatever else they have there. Obviously Sam Darnold, Matt Corral drafted, Walker. But I do think just as a kind of added benefit of him just being slightly bit better, I haven't dug into that much of his, usage when it comes to passing to running backs and just like the team usage with him under center with running backs. But I just imagine it'll just be ever so slightly better just as a whole.
It's fair.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Except I'm not moving him. So today we wanted to do our 2022 bold predictions, and I got the rest of the Dad Bod crews to kind of chime in on theirs, and I'll make note of whose is who. I know that when Robbie was giving me one and Alex was giving me one, they were pretty much their bold prediction was something that they were ranking. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you have this ranked. This can't be that bold if you're ranking it. So I made them go maybe even bolder than they felt wanted to. But before we get into theirs, Conan, I'm going to start off with your first one. You had a guy. I'm going to bring it up on the screen now. I didn't know exactly what you were saying with it, but here it is.
Absolutely. So my first bold prediction for 2022 is surrounding Alan Lazard. Obviously, a lot of different viewpoints on him from the fantasy industry, just from casual managers, stuff like that. I know there's people that are very, very high on him. I know there's people that are very much out on him. But my prediction, it's not crazy spicy, but where I have him ranked, I think it's bold enough. I think he's going to be a top 18 wide receiver. So basically in the top half of the wide receiver twos at worst. And so I did an article earlier this offseason about some of my favorite late round unsexy picks. Alan Lazard was one of them. I think since then, when I wrote this in maybe May or so, his ADP has definitely shot up a little bit. Especially I don't know if you guys have seen on Underdog, he's going, almost 10 wide receiver spots higher than normal formats. But anyway, we're to get into it.
I expect him to pop up a little bit more.
I mean, I think he's definitely, especially in best ball formats and in Underdog specifically, where obviously that's like kind of where the craze is right now in the off season. He is a lot higher ranked. So on Underdog, he's wide receiver 41. ESPN and Sleeper have him at 49 and 50, so almost 10 full wide receiver spots after. But everyone knows Devontae Adams left. He is gone. He is now with Derek Carr. And a thing that we know as a fantasy kind of community, as analysts now, is that when there is a massive just target vacation, like where someone with that many targets on a yearly basis, when he loses that many, when that team loses that many targets, it's not usually going to a singular wide receiver or singular tight end. It's usually actually benefiting the running backs the most. And so for that reason, I do have Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones this year. I have him in my top 10 running backs. And so I couldn't do anything bold about him. I think saying that Lazard will be a top 18 receiver, I think is bolder than me if I were to say Aaron Jones will be the RB1, which I do think is a possibility as well. But I do think overall running back, I do absolutely. That was my debate, was if I wanted to go Aaron Jones RB1 or if I wanted to go Lazard top 18. And so I went with the Lazard take. It is, but I do think Jones in most people's rankings is in that top 10 already, whether it's 8, 9, 10 in the back half. But I do think he's ranked high enough where I didn't want to take someone that's already known he's going to be great this year, like by all accounts. Even if he's not RB10, he's not going to be too far behind given no injury. But so, and now in that offense, besides the running backs, with no Devontae Adams, no Marquez Valdes-Scantling, we have just a whole crew of Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson, Amari Rodgers, Lazard, Randall Cobb, Romeo Dubes. And really, besides Randall Cobb, and Lazard, there's really no one that's even established in any way. Most of these guys haven't even played a single snap in the NFL, some of them. And Amari Rodgers, very, very limited time last year. And so I do think someone has to give us fantasy value in that team. It is not going to be, even if Aaron Jones is the RB1 on the year, there's going to have to be at least like a wide receiver 3 in that offense. And it might not be consistent, but I do think as an overall season finish, there has to be someone. Given how Rodgers has been playing these past few years, it's a given that he will have someone that is relevant. And so obviously Lazard has never really gotten the chance. He's always been maybe the second or the third even receiver on that team, which when you have Devontae Adams on the team, I don't think is a big knock against your game. But last year you can see, all right, you don't have the targets. He had 60 targets last year. He had the 40 catches, as you can see on the screen. But on those 60 targets, he was actually 6th in the league in fantasy points per target. He was almost getting 2.5 fantasy points every time he was targeted. And so that is a crazy, crazy number to me. Last year, at the end of the year, he also went off for a touchdown in 3 straight games at the end with the ultimately the season ender, this week 18, he had 2 touchdowns. And so he's coming off the hot finish to 2021. He was really good in his limited work. Clearly, he was able to produce fantasy points, even given in his limited work that he saw. And then really the biggest thing for me is there's numbers that can help show it. But really, to me, it's the trust. Right. We know the trust that Rodgers had in Adams the last few years, and it resulted in 200 targets or 200 targets every year. And on this team, besides maybe Randall Cobb, obviously they have a connection. I don't think that anyone else has anywhere near of a connection that he does have with Allen Lazard. And so, for example, he saw 16 red zone targets. That's definitely that's top 20 among receivers. And that was last year with Devontae Adams also being in the top 5 of that. Yeah. And so it's clear that when he was in the red zone in spots that he really needed someone he could trust, if it wasn't Devontae, he was going to his
to Lazard.
With wherever you look, he's either 6'3" or 6'5" or anywhere in between, depending on where you look. But either way,
I
he is a big guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's a monster. I see him at 6'5" posted a lot. And like
Mhm.
what you're saying is very true. Like A-Rod likes going to guys he knows. Now, do I think that, and Robbie agrees with me, so I guess I'm speaking for both of us, Bob, Tanyan is going to be a big part in this.
Yeah, I agree.
He might be slow to start from the ACL, but like I think that's a familiar face that A-Rod loves looking to in the end zone. But we still got 26 to 36 TDs that we have to account for on this team. And 13 of those, they're gone. So let's get back in. Like Lazard is a big dude that he likes in the end zone. He does really well in the slot, which is odd that they started running him towards the second half of the season. They started putting him more in the slot. He does really well in the slot, which is kind of scary because, they love their Randall Cobb. And he's familiar with Cobb too.
I'm not worried about that.
Watkins might get cut. There's actually like whispers of Watkins getting cut. Lazard is the guy to own on this team. And like, I guess the range comes from this. Like he is either, like you said, Conan, going to be a wide receiver 3, 36, 37, where you're still getting value at his ADP, or he has the possibility to be on this tail end of your bold prediction of 18, 16, 17. Like that's what we see from this. Like if he stays healthy, there's some opportunity here because of how good his quarterback is.
Absolutely. I think I want to touch on that's a great point about Tanyan. I think he is definitely a little bit underrated, a little bit low key. If you look at, Devontae Adams is leaving behind 28 red zone looks. That's how many he had last year. It's like you give Lazard, maybe you give him 5 to 10 more of those, maybe. And that's a good. And so now Lazard's looking at near Devontae red zone numbers. And then, but you're still looking at almost 20 red zone targets that, they're going to have these looks just given who Aaron Rodgers is, the way they play. They're going to have looks. It's not like Rodgers is going to all of a sudden turn into a 17 touchdown on the season scorer. That's not going to happen, even if he doesn't have the weapons that he used to have. But so I think that's a great point. And I think he looks for Lazard at like in great situations too. So another number that I loved seeing for Lazard was his target quality rating. And so that's just something that Player Profiler, it's a metric they use where they combine catchable targets with your average depth of target, your ADOT. And so he was top 12 in the league in terms of that metric that they give, which just shows that it just shows that Rodgers down the field, looking at him like in these good situations, if he's open, he will throw to him. Like he's getting good looks. And more so, which matters even more, right? Lazard, when he was targeted, Rodgers, when targeting Lazard, had the second highest passer rating. So it was 149.3, just near perfect passer rating when targeted. And so it's clear he has a connection. I don't know if you guys saw this quote that I loved hearing the other day. I think maybe 2 days ago. Rodgers said this about Lazard. I don't know if you saw it. He's been our dirty work guy for most of his career here. Now he's getting an opportunity to be the number one receiver. I'm not worried about him at all stepping into that role. That is what Aaron Rodgers said about Lazard.
It's easy. This is an easy bet. Like, where's the over under here? Like on his TDs, on his yards. Because if he stays healthy, I showed you my rank. I'm not going to talk about it right here on the bold prediction episode. He is. I think he was undrafted, right? Like he came out undrafted from college. So that's where like a lot of this stench comes from for a lot of people. They're like, oh, he was undrafted. He's not talented enough. I don't care. Tyreek Hill got drafted in the 6th round. That's pretty much undrafted. Elijah Mitchell got in the 6th round. Tom Brady, 6th round. Antonio Brown, 6th round. I don't care. The guy's good. I like this.
Absolutely.
I like
Mario's been hyping him up all offseason.
You can see this coming out. I'm steaming because
No, I'm definitely big on him. It's crazy to me. I definitely see some people hating on if they see an ADP where he's like going in the. I've heard at least on some podcasts and stuff like that, like where they see Lazard going in the 6th or 7th round. Now, yes, I do kind of think that that's a little bit too early, even where I have him ranked, even where I have this bold prediction. I do think there's other players in that range where I'd rather still take the shot, maybe a little bit more surefire thing.
Yeah,
but I've said basically round 8 and later, if Lazard's there, like I'm going to basically take that every time. And I normally don't even have to, I can take him in round 10 almost every time in normal redraft. And so even later, even in some of them. So it's that late of a pick with the wide receiver 50 tag, I will take that shot every single time. And one last thing we talked about a little bit, but according to Sleeper, according to Pro Football Reference, the last time Davante Adams was out for a game that Lazard played in, Lazard got 8 targets, blew that up for 6 catches, 146 yards, and a tutty. Yes, it was 2 years ago, week 3, 2020, but he's at least showed he did it. And that was the last time that happened. So I do think, he's not going to step in and be Davante Adams. I'm not saying that. And no one's saying that. Otherwise, we'd have Allen Lazard as a top 5 wide receiver. But I do think, as we said, like the running backs are heavily benefited here. And I do think both Tunyon and Allen Lazard, specifically just huge red zone targets and threats. And with that connection, I think those two are going to be 2 of the biggest targets. And specifically Lazard, I see him as a top 18 receiver.
I can't argue with those stats. The only thing I will say on him is, I know we have the one game, but can he do it against the number 1 cornerback? And if he's getting double teamed, if he does it the first 3 weeks, he'll get double teamed the rest of the year.
He's not getting double teamed. Aaron Rodgers can't get double teamed. And I know,
just playing devil's advocate because I do have him ranked high as well.
There's not a chance. They have a decent enough weapons where they're not going to double team Allen Lazard. He's not that level.
I'm saying say in the first 3 weeks he blows it up for those kind of numbers, right? 2 touchdowns, 150 yard game.
Yeah, maybe he'll see some added attention.
100% he will.
Yeah.
It's just, can he do it against that competition?
Well, I guess he'll make all your money's worth the first 3 weeks then.
Yeah, it'd be worth it. I mean,
pretty much, if he put up like insane numbers, he's probably close to getting you wide receiver 50. No, that's fair. Ridiculous. But
I mean,
barely do anything for the rest of the year if that's the numbers you're talking.
Just devil's advocate. But I have him high too, so I'm with you. I'm
something I did not see actually that I'm seeing now is that Player Profiler's best comparable for Allen Lazard. Do you guys have any guesses as to who it is?
His athletic profile.
Keyshawn Johnson.
His comparable at the top right. It always
receiver?
has some type of wide receiver comparable.
Measurable.
Keyshawn Johnson. No.
Damn.
No. You got a guess,
He's a
Rob?
big boy, right? He's 6'5" or something like that.
He's listed on Player Profiler 6'3". I see 6'4". I see 6'5".
I see 6'5" all the time.
Exactly. So it's
So
kind of like wherever you look.
It's not Calvin Johnson.
No.
I'm trying to think of tall receivers here.
You're in the right boat. So it's Marquise Colston, who was an absolute fantasy stud.
He was a
for
beast.
I think he was a 6th-round pick, wasn't he? I think he was a late draft pick.
He might have been. He was. I can tell you right now. So Lazard undrafted 2018, like we were saying.
I think Colston was a 6th round, but if I remember this from almost over a decade ago, definitely over a decade ago, I feel gross.
That'd be impressive.
I don't think I think he was a 6th rounder. I could be way off. I could be way off. Though,
7th.
Don't embarrass me. I was close.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
From Hofstra.
He was a beast.
6'5". Yeah.
John Payton loves him.
You know what's funny is his comparable is Mike Evans, like you had just said.
Yeah.
So it's transitive property. Allen Lazard, Mike Evans.
There we go.
So pretty much what we just decided is Allen Lazard is Mike Evans this year. I'm Green Bay Packers, and I'm all for it. I do got to keep us moving here. We're gonna go over to the next bold prediction, which is mine actually. And I actually don't believe this to be that bold. So maybe that's 2 for 2 now that we're like saying, I don't know how bold this is. But anytime that you're saying the number 1 at a position, I feel like it's bold enough, right? So Najee Harris will finish as the RB1, not a RB1, the number 1 back in the league this year. And I think I'm going to start off with like a little bit of background in the sense of I'm taking this because the volume is going to be there. Like he is one of the only RBs outside of JT, but like I know Najee will get 200 to 250 carries and close to 100 targets. Like I feel confident in that at 80 to 100 targets. I feel very confident about that. What's up, Rob?
We talked about that with Swift last week.
We did.
At 200,
like, we're a little more concerned with Swift in the sense of like, he's not 244, 42 pounds Najee Harris, but this is a guy that's just going to get loaded. And if his efficiency, if he starts stepping it up, if the line got a little bit better, which they added a couple guys, Dotson came along on his rookie year. He kind of tailed off a little bit before getting hurt. They upgraded at center. They upgraded at right guard. House is saying that I love the Steelers. I've been picking his brain because he's a big Steelers guy. Like, dude, is this line going to be better? Because that could change his efficiency. Like his efficiency was trash. It was efficient. He was inefficient in the receiving game. He was inefficient in the rushing game, but he is a talented back. And he showed that in college. Maybe had some efficiency issues in college, but honestly, I don't care. I want the volume. I think they're going to drive the field a little bit more with the new QB. Call me crazy. I think 2021 Big Ben was god awful. So like I'm buying this bold prediction myself. I probably have him ranked too high in my own rankings. Like he's not ranked RB number 1, but expert rankings have him at RB4. His fantasy points, he finished last year at RB3. ADP is going about RB5. It's just the guarantee for me. And if he gets a little bit of a better line, has a little bit of a better quarterback, we could see an RB1 come out of Najee Harris.
I don't. I definitely like the pick. I have him. I was just trying to look at where I have him ranked in my redraft. I have him as my RB4. And so very, very much lockstep with his total from last year. His ADP, his expert rank, basically right there with it. Mm-hmm. And I think you're definitely right. The amount of sheer volume last year definitely propelled that, fantasy 3 finish, but I don't think it's the type of volume that's going to completely fall off. And I do think 74 catches, 94 targets, I think that's probably tough to sustain, but I do think he's an absolute lock for like 45 to 50.
Wow.
Do you think that's tough to sustain?
I don't think he's going to get 75 and 100 this year. I
feel good with Trubisky back there. I mean, he did it with Cohen.
Yeah. Was that the year Tariq Cohen popped off?
And I think two years for Cohen had a ton of targets, and then he got hurt, I think, in 2018 or 2019. In 2018, I want to say he had 94 to 100 targets, Rob, but double check me. Definitely Mitch Trubisky was there. They just had, I guess the only thing is like he's never done it with his main guy, but I mean, Cohen played that pass catching back. Najee's not going to come out of the game unless it's blocking. They pretty much said, hey, we're going to reduce your snaps. And then there was another report that was like, yeah, we don't have any other choice than him being our bell cow. It's like, okay, so we know what snaps are getting reduced. The ones that catch the ball.
In 19, he had 104, 18, 91.
See, like that's Trubisky. Both years.
With Trubisky. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, I do think it's just like Big Ben is just known as like just a check down, especially at the end of his career. You saw that guy trying to move around. It was tough. It was tough. Yeah. But so, I mean, I'm not trying to knock it too much. I have him at RB4. I think if I was 100% sure that he'd reach basically the same numbers in the passing work as he did last year and sustain that same amount of volume rushing, I think I would definitely have him above, Austin Eckler, the name I have above him, even close to Christian McCaffrey. But I just think that those guys are a bigger lock for that workload that he had last year that they've seen numerous times in their careers. And so at RB4, I'm still taking him firmly in that first round. He's your bell cow, the bell cow RB1 that there's, maybe 10 in the entire league that are actually bell cows, maybe even less.
He's the only one that's like touted too. Like everybody
Mhm.
knows what's coming out. Like even with Eckler, like you said, like Spiller, Eckler said, I'm gonna probably like take a little bit steps back here with some of my rushing carries or something. He said something like that in an interview, and I was just like, all these RBs are just like, okay, I don't want the ball that much. And Najee's like, yeah, I'm gonna be bell cow back here. I love it. I love it. Robbie.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce your bold prediction.
Boy, Kirk.
Oh,
yes, this
Kirk
isn't spicy,
finished,
right?
Yeah, finished top 6.
I like it.
Ahead of Murray, Burrow, Hurts, a couple other big names, Stafford.
So Kirk Cousins finishing top 6 is his bold prediction.
Yeah.
You cut out a little bit. That's why I had to repeat.
Oh, my bad. So he finished QB 11 last year with 561 attempts. Okay, with this new offense coming in. So he's losing probably.
Connell.
I do. I really do.
Loves
I just
him.
like the offense.
He likes the tree, and he'll probably
more
make the
so.
tree
I
while he's talking.
hated Zimmerman. I hated Zimmer. I hated him. He was probably the most conservative coach in the NFL. When they got in the red zone, all they did was run the ball.
It's old school.
Yeah, and that's not good for a quarterback, right? And he still finished quarterback 11. So in Washington, when he had this offense or a similar style offense, he finished quarterback 5 and 6 in consecutive years. I'm not concerned about it. This was in 16 he finished quarterback 5, and in 17 he finished quarterback 6 in Washington. He's got way more weapons here than he did in Washington. This offense is going to come in. I see his attempts going from 560, which was on the high end in Minnesota for him, to somewhere around 615 to 640. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for what this offense is going to bring to him. He's got probably the most explosive and dynamic receiver in the NFL, probably the most red zone efficient receiver in the NFL, and a third receiver coming into his prime. And
who?
KJ Osborne, that's my boy. I love him. I love him. Take him late in all your dynasty sleepers.
Did you just talk him up like he's coming into we're expecting the breakout year?
No, but I think he's got a very good third option as opposed to some other quarterbacks that don't.
Okay.
And and then he's got probably the greatest.
Is it British?
Who, KJ Osborne?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I haven't talked to him, so I can tell you.
We'll have to see if he wants to come on.
I'll call him. But and then he also has one of the top 5 receiving running backs in the NFL too. So I think they're going to get a lot more creative and a lot more risky in the red zone. A lot more risky in the red zone. So I think those touchdown totals. I mean, he threw 33 touchdowns, 561 attempts. I see those going closer to like 40. Whoa. And I really do. I think it's gonna be a very similar season to what we saw from Stafford last year. I think this offense is gonna be very similar to the Rams.
From a bold prediction to you're just falling in love. You're ready to
I've been in love. I've been waiting for
you're gonna look at the camera and be like, you like that? You like that?
I have been waiting for Kirk Cousins to get a creative offensive mind in there that will take risks and take challenges and let him be the guy in the red zone. No one's ever done that with him. I'm ready for it.
Kirk Vanilla Cousins is gonna get risky in that red zone.
I think he hasn't been able. He's been handcuffed. He hasn't been able to.
His personality is just very vanilla. Okay, that's all I was saying.
And that's also so.
He doesn't seem like a risk taker.
This is for you too, because you love your Irv Smith, right?
Yep.
You love your Irv Smith. So my concern, he hasn't sustained a top 10 tight end in forever because they don't let him throw in the red zone.
Well, they've had 2 also, right?
What?
Kyle
Rudolph like 5 years ago?
He was a target monster for.
I get that. What I'm saying, he's had 2 tight ends, but you know how it goes. Like, if there's a good
Kyle
tight end
Rudolph
there,
was like a tight end killer towards the end of his career.
Sure, but if there's enough targets in the red zone, your tight end is gonna be a top 10 tight end.
I think
like
you're
it
right.
takes how many targets and how many
Sucks
touchdowns.
though, because like Thielen kind of steals those those red zone targets and those touchdowns.
But I think
That's another concern for maybe that's more of an Irv Smith issue.
That's a more Irv Smith thing. But I think that the target jump is where it's going to be because he's proven he's a good he's not elite, but he's a good quarterback. He can sustain a receiver and he can put good stats up. And if he gets 620 attempts, I'm all in.
Sky's the limit.
I mean, you got QB6. I think it's closer to QB5 with my bold prediction.
Oh,
I'm all in, baby.
Wow.
I know he doesn't
I wanted
run.
to say,
I know he doesn't run. I get it. It's a new NFL from when he was 5-6 in what did I say, 16, 17. I get it. But if he's putting up Matt Stafford did it last year.
5.
Matt Stafford did it last year.
Wasn't Tom Brady 3?
Tom Brady. I mean, they do it if they get the
Mm-hmm.
attempts, and I think he's going to get the attempts. I think he's proven he can be a top 5 quarterback.
I think especially in a format like the Scott Fishbowl and 6-point passing formats, he's definitely someone
percentage.
that
Don't
you
give
would
that away.
love as
we want him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just doing a little, like the tiniest bit of research on that part, but I don't know if you guys knew Kirk Cousins finished higher than Hurts last year in SFB
Hurts was
scoring.
16.
It was and Kirk Cousins also outscored some of the best receivers in the game, like Debo, Devontae.
Telling you, he's efficient, man. He's efficient.
That's kind of crazy. So one thing I was just looking up that I definitely kind of further emphasizes your argument is, so last year, just in the red zone, we're looking at an average of 52% pass for the entire NFL. Minnesota was at 49%, so 3% less than the league average. LA last year was at 57, so 5 more. And that difference, though, just that 8% difference was a difference of 56 attempts.
Boom.
So
56 more attempts in the red zone. Come on,
that is a lot. It is a lot. I will say.
I don't see that.
One interesting thing was that Pittsburgh was by far the most pass-heavy percentage team in the red zone at 72%.
So that should help your Najee take too.
Yeah, well, it didn't last year.
They'll regress.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't crush it it wasn't TDs that he got last year.
No, it wasn't.
They knew how bad that offense was.
Just all volume. Yeah,
but they might let him actually try to punch it in a little bit more, who knows, because I don't see them throwing 72% of the time in the red zone this year. So I think that actually might be good for Najee.
So they were letting Big Ben just rip it.
Yeah,
Big washed Ben.
My take on Kirk is more about the coach coming in, unleashing the beast that is Kirk Cousins.
God, I hate hearing I think Kirk is a great quarterback, but hearing the beast talked about Kirk Cousins and I can't get over it. And
I think I'm gonna make
maybe
some
this
t-shirts.
Is the right platform to talk about how much I think he's a plain Jane personality, but he is.
Sure. But
I love Kirk, though. I mean, last year specifically in one of my Superflex leagues, I remember I drafted Herbert and I drafted Lance, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have some sweet quarterbacks." Lance didn't play all year long. I had Kirk Cousins as my QB3. He was my QB2. Sometimes outscoring Justin Herbert at times when he had a down week, and so I think for me, he is the ideal best end QB2 option.
Sure.
I'm not going to rank it like he's a QB1, but I would absolutely love if he was my QB2 because I think he's at the very top of that QB2. I think he has the weapons around him to sneak into that QB1 range. I don't think I could go fully on board. I just think some of the, it's not bold, a test. Baby. It's not that I don't like Cousins. It's more so that there's at least 5 names that I just know that are going to be rock solid as long as they don't get hurt. The rushing I think definitely does a lot.
It hurts.
And I'm assuming 4-point passing. In 6-point, I don't think it's as crazy as a take, but in 4-point where the mobility is really stressed and valued, I think it's tough. But I love the take. You provided some great points.
I think that's the I think that's the biggest counter in settings is like
Yeah.
for a rushing QB, you add 6 points passing TD, and it's kind of
Yeah.
counters
4 and
out
6
rushing.
it's a big
I
difference.
never know. Like as a commissioner, now I'm gonna get off topic, and damn it, as a commissioner, like what do you choose here? Like, do you want to kind of level the playing field, or do you like that it's a rushing QB kind of world going on right now?
And
I
then
always wonder that.
See, I like the 4 point personally. I like the 4 point because
I have all 4 points
with
outside
the
of
rush.
SVB.
With that, you're also taking on the added risk of an injury. I mean, and personally,
I
'cause
agree. So maybe like
I think
dynasty,
that
but what about
evens it out more.
redrafts?
Yeah, I mean, at the same point, I mean, how often it doesn't happen too often, but a rushing quarterback, they're gonna miss some time. Like look at Lamar Jackson last year. I know it's not his MO, but he missed some time, and that killed
Yeah.
people who took him in the top.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been good about not missing time.
He has, but
A full
You know.
180.
it just takes one season.
Absolutely.
We're gonna get into. I think we're gonna make this our last one. Then we're gonna rip off some honorable mentions after this and kind of quick hitters.
Sure.
So this will be the last one we get into. Then we're gonna rip off a few, and then if you guys have any quick comments on that, we'll go from there. But Conan, hit us up with this bold prediction that you have here.
So I'm actually I took these because it's something I just finished up an article about, but I really did a deep dive. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into kind of these new wide receiver pairings, teammates that have formed now.
I've been wondering this forever, dude. like what happens when an elite wide receiver goes to a different team? Like I've been so curious about certain metrics about that.
Yeah, and I think generally it doesn't look great. I think when an elite receiver joins another elite or close to elite caliber player, the usually it's not a good thing
prime.
for both.
I think there was
We've seen a lot of past prime ones happen.
I sent you something on that, Mario. I don't know how are you. So is that what you're going into, Conan? Is
so I'm not going into past. I'm not going into past at all. My prediction for this is that these two, so Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they will both finish as top 12 wide receivers, both as wide receiver ones. And obviously they almost finished both in the top 12 last year, albeit on different teams, obviously. Yeah. But I think it's just something you hear almost every year, right? So every year there's some pair of teammates that are top 12 wide receivers, right? So last year we had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. The year before that, we had DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
Is that are you doing points per game on that?
No, this is overall PPR fantasy finish.
Did Mike Will finish 12?
Yes.
Or close. Okay.
Last year. So last year, Keenan Allen was 11. Mike Williams was 12 in PPR, full PPR season-long finish. And then the year before that, it was DK and Tyler Lockett. Year before that, it was the crazy Mike Evans, Godwin, both wide receiver top 5 or something year, right? But every year for the last like 5-6 years at least that I looked back in, there is a pair of teammate wide receivers that finish both as top 12 wide receiver 1 players. And so I think there's an easy cop-out answer where it's Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be most people's first, bet at who is going to finish as a teammate wide receiver. Yeah. And I obviously love both of them, but they're both kind of in that range in ADP already. They're both technically being drafted as top 12 wide receivers. And so I just thought I wanted to look at these two. I think this is the second highest pair of teammates with ADP. And so I kind of dug into both of them. And I just loved what I saw, especially from Waddle. A lot of what he did last year obviously kind of had to do with like volume, just kind of like Najee almost, just like sheer volume. Some of his numbers weren't great, but he was able to do more than he should have with some of those smaller short area targets. Do
you know what his ADOT was?
Yeah, his ADOT was actually 6.3 yards, ranking in the low 80s. He was 88th in ADOT. But he was also but he had the 10th most targets. 142 targets. And he was also the 10th best in yards after catch. So that shows, even though he's getting very low ADOT, very close short area looks, he's still able to rip off a bunch of gain after he catches it. And you can really see that, where it's like you get him the ball in some space and you just see he has just speed, he has awareness, he has great body control. He has a lot of different other traits that just look like he's well-rounded, even though he's just only finished that first year. But so I wanted to ask,
real quick, what was Tyreek Hill's yards after catch? We were having this discussion.
We were just talking about this.
It sounds like you have it close. I don't know if you had it written down, so I apologize because it sounded.
I didn't have it written down at the moment. I will be able to get into that. I wanted to ask one thing though. When you think of a third down reliable wide receiver, who's the name that comes to mind?
I'll give you
Cooper Kupp.
I have
Cooper
an
Kupp?
old school one.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about
Current,
recent, this past year more so, or just our fantasy relevant, but also just like third down wide receiver. Who's the first name that comes to your mind? You said Cooper Kupp.
That was it.
Man, it's
Cooper
tough because I'm a
Kupp.
Browns
I mean,
fan.
for me, it's Hunter Renfrow is the first name I think of. I also think of Devontae Adams.
I
just
think
out
a tight
of
end
sheer
more so than a receiver.
That's
where
fair.
my mind goes. Is
so
to like a Travis Kelce, a Darren Waller was pretty reliable.
Interesting. So real quick to get back to the yak, Tyreek had 415, which was 13th. So he actually had less yards after catch than Waddle. But
Tyreek's washed, boys.
Wow, we were just
Telling
talking
you.
about this.
Let's get into, so before I get into Tyreek, quick last thing on Waddle is last year Waddle had he had more third down receptions that went for a first down than Hunter Renfrow, who I thought was the automatic third down. You get a first down if you go to him.
So who is the number
more?
This has to be a one stat one day, but who is the number one in that?
The number one, I
category?
believe, was Justin Jefferson was the number one. There's your more Kirk propaganda.
Let's go, baby.
But he had just as many third down catches that went for a first down as Devontae Adams as well. And he actually had more total third down catches than Cooper Kupp or Keenan Allen. Another just four names that are the craziest, the most elite.
And that's another Scott Fishbowl
interesting, man.
point.
Yeah,
They do
exactly
first down reception bonus.
Absolutely. That's why I kind of wanted to look into that specifically, because I was like, wow, like technically Hunter Renfrow had more total third down catches, but Waddle actually had more that resulted in a first down, which is interesting. And so it just really shows like Tua really leaned on him near the end of the year, especially.
Yeah.
He's really good at running slants, at curls, and go routes. Specifically, those three I saw him just absolutely excel at. And the last number for Waddle is going to be that he was 7th in route win percentage, just outright route win percentage. And against man-to-man, he was actually 6th. And so, especially against man coverage and just against any coverage, he just absolutely burns you, you know? So now we're getting into Hill. I mean, I saw this stat. I thought it was crazy. I didn't even know about it. Hill has the most, since entering the league, has the most 20-yard, 30-yard, 40-yard, 50-yard, and 60-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
his plus,
it's
I
crazy.
want to say his 40 plus is insane.
Yeah.
I think it's the most. He's at the top of the list every year.
It's nutty. And so I didn't really want to get into too much of like Tyreek Hill. Like, we know he's awesome, right? We know him and Mahomes specifically. That's just been something that has clicked and that has just been excellent for years. I'm not going to dig into too much of his numbers specifically, but what I did want to look at was kind of Miami's numbers, San Francisco's numbers a little bit even, just to see how they used wide receivers in different sets and stuff. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Miami actually threw the most targets to tight end last year, like out of the entire league. They threw more than Baltimore with Andrews. They threw more than Kansas City with Travis Kelce. They threw the most targets to their tight end room. Obviously, a lot of it Gesicki,
Was there-
but they threw a good amount to Durham Smythe and Adam Shaheen still. And it's like,
Shaheen's the one I think of.
really, guys? Like,
Yeah.
come on. And then Miami also bottom 10 when it came to throwing to their wide receivers. So less than 55% of their total targets, those went to wide receivers. Last year, with just Waddle and, a little bit Devontae Parker, everyone else kind of banged up or not really that great. You can understand that. And I just think that number has to go up, right? And I think I've mentioned this on different pods and in mocks before. I fully intend that Hill and Waddle together are going to combine for 45, 50 plus % of the entire target share. So I think both of them, both of them will be over 20% for sure in target share. And I think it wouldn't be surprising if they were both 25 plus %.
You got to be, that's at least, that's about 150, 130, right? Yeah. That'd be about 50%.
Something is pretty similar. Exactly. And so, and that's why I have my bold prediction, like I said, is both of them are going to finish in the top 12. I honestly, I don't think I could pick one. If you said which one is actually going to finish higher, like I actually think both of them are going to finish so well, and that I don't know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Hill is the one with 20 more targets, or if Waddle is just the one with 20 more targets and has a better finish. Man. And so specifically, another thing that I wanted to look at was last year, Miami, how they ran different sets and like personnel groupings. So last year, they ran 12 personnel at a league lowest rate. So that means you have one running back, two tight ends, and you got two. Sorry. They had. Sorry, I read that wrong. I was like, wait a sec. They did run 3 wide receivers on the field at a league low rate, but they ran 12 personnel at a league high rate where they ran 61% of the time. They had one running back, two tight ends, 2 wide receivers. Yeah. So their most common, consistent, like base set was running two wide receivers. And so I wanted to look over to see what San Fran did. Obviously, Mike McDaniel wasn't the coach, wasn't in charge of all of that, but I wanted to just kind of see if there was a similar story. And sure enough, San Francisco, they ran 3 wide sets at a bottom 5 rate. And whether it was 12 personnel or actually 21 personnel, where you would flip the running back and the tight ends. Yeah. 49ers also deployed 2 wide receiver sets at only a rate that Miami and Atlanta beat. So we're looking at...
Where was Cleveland in that?
I don't have it right now, but I mean, I'd imagine
to go to for that, Rob. And it shows you kind of a little
Mario,
bit like...
What's the tree? What's the tree, Mario?
Didn't you just say like he's somehow
it's the Shanahan tree, dude. Yeah. Dude, I've been talking about this all off season.
I didn't disagree with that, but you had different sort of reaches that we don't even want to bring.
We don't want to get into.
We don't want to rehash these. But it's funny because McVay, who has the other biggest sort of tree that we love to talk about, he ran the most 3 wide receiver sets,
which is crazy.
And this is what you're hoping for your boy Kano. Is it O'Connell?
Yeah, O'Connell.
Okay.
But yeah, we could get it. That's another episode. But I like where you're at that.
Yeah, it totally reads like Miami. It's not like Miami was doing some really different stuff than what San Fran was already kind of doing. They were similar. They were running same personnel groupings, like similar amount of just every skill position on the field for a lot of the part. So I don't think it's that crazy. And I just think the way that helps there is that it's just going to be Waddle and Tyreek Hill basically on the field if there's 2 wide receiver sets. There's not going to be that many situations, that many downs where there's even a third receiver on the field to take away a target potentially. And I just think they're both just going to be interchangeably used in like however you kind of want, because they both can be a deep ball threat, but they can both be short area, lower ADOT. Like Tyreek Hill had the lowest ADOT of his career this past year. He was like the wide receiver 3 or 4 or whatever. Like he was still a top 5 wide receiver, I think. And he had his lowest ADOT since his rookie year. He had a lot of his numbers, his short area targets had gone nuclear as opposed to every other year. And so I just think
He had a
that
ton
was like
of targets this year, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. So he actually, for the first time this year, for the first time in his career, he actually had more short area targets than Travis Kelce, which is crazy. But so I just think the team is gonna have both of those guys out there. I think they're both just such explosive, just game breaking, just sudden talents, and it's where like you just kind of want to put them in space. You can run, like some stack routes, just like really confuse defenders, make them have to pick. And like, it's, I don't think you can double team either one of them with having the other one across the field and a big Mike Gesicki in the middle of the field. It's like, I don't think defenses can key in on one as much as the other, or one more than the other. So I just think there's room for, and I don't know if you guys have seen some of Tua's numbers. Obviously, Tua wasn't that great last year, but some of the metrics on his deep ball numbers, his efficiency, stuff like that, do actually read pretty well. And so I just think he'll be able to have two top wide receivers. We've seen Jared Goff put up 2-3 wide receivers in the top 20 or something. Like, I think someone that's probably better than him can put up enough numbers.
Slander.
Yeah, that's
don't get me wrong. I love Jared Goff.
This is Robbie's favorite stat to go to of why Detroit is going to be so amazing this year.
And I don't think they're going to be amazing. I think they're going to be. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be very, very efficient and a great wide receiver.
I like it. And they drafted my favorite wide receiver in the class too, even though he's not going to be ready.
Jameson?
So
yeah, he's going to come in late a little bit. So
he will
I did adjust the stats, but
so what's interesting is one of our guys did a very.
It's funny.
It is funny, right?
Yeah.
He took Tua and Gesicki as top 5. So you guys combined. That was his bold prediction.
I thought you were talking about
combined are just. That was Brian's.
I thought you were talking about Alex with his Jared
We'll
Goff.
have Alex. I'm just
we'll
gonna
get there.
I'm gonna just hit him quick because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Tua top 5, Gesicki top 5. That was his 2022 prediction. That was Brian's.
Is he a big Dolphins guy?
No,
just
Tua.
out of nowhere. Interesting.
He loves Tua. And
did he like
Gesicki,
Tua before I started talking shit on Tua? And now I think he's just like backing it up.
No, it's pretty much like he had him on Dynasty. He had to love him. This was another one that we had, which was Jalen Hurts.
Like it.
Will finish as QB1 overall. That was House's 2022 bold prediction.
I like that.
This one's the grossest. 2022 bold prediction: Jared Goff will be a top 10 QB. Okay, and then I want to say the honor. That is tough. That is tough.
I like him, but I'm not there.
One.
It's not even. Yeah, like I think he's a serviceable QB2, which like
I think
isn't even. It's not. Yeah, it's not even a lock for most people that he is a serviceable QB2. But I just think that leap into top 10, it's like the other names. It's more so the other names are just so good, unless you're banking on some injuries or crazy, just some crazy regression. It's just like, we'll see.
There's too many good quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
There is.
You're not throwing Kirk out of my top 10 either.
So here's the honorable mentions, and I think these ones are the spiciest. That's why they're honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Tim Patrick finishes as a top 15 wide receiver. Kadarius Toney finishes as a top 15 wide receiver. I'll tell you right now, these 3 are my kind of like, I was trying to debate between them. I was just like, you know what? Let me just throw them all on there. Tom Brady doesn't finish as a QB1, not top 12. I think that's the least spicy on this page. Antonio Gibson finishes outside top 30 RBs, which I think is probably closest to the spiciest here. And I do not like Antonio Gibson.
That was me. I
think, people are very out on Gibson, and I get the argument, but at a certain point, I do think it's like, if he's sliding to a range with like handcuffs, which I've seen him like, going into like Kareem Hunt and like Pollard range, it's like, there, I'm definitely taking the guy that I know is at least going to get that work unless he gets hurt. Like, I don't think Brian Robinson overtakes him at like whatsoever unless there is some type of injury. And I do think that's it's. I mean, I do think
I don't
that's
think
always
it's
a
an
possibility.
overtake though.
No,
I just think it's just a jumbled mess.
That's the
to
thing.
make him a dud in fantasy.
Yeah, my concern is that was my take, by the way. So
if it takes away his TDs, it's over. Sorry,
that's the thing. The reports out of Washington
gave me a look.
Is that Brian Robinson is going to get the goal line in short yardage, right?
Interesting.
So if he overtakes the touchdowns, and the whole reason that they brought him in was he's a fumble concern. He is.
He is.
They don't like it. Brian Robinson has less fumbles in 5 career seasons in Alabama in college than he did last season. Antonio Gibson did last season.
Yeah, but Brian Robinson didn't play like at all the first 4 years,
mean
right?
That much.
Yeah, I mean he was a workhorse in that
last year.
He only fumbled once last season.
That's and that's still definitely a good number to know at least.
It is good, but it's a complete. And I'm not dismissing any of the college stats, but I feel like fumble. I don't typically. And tell me if I'm wrong. Like a guy comes in without fumble issues a lot of times, and then just becomes Butterfingers in the NFL.
Sure, but I think that was a point of emphasis of why they brought him in for goal line work.
Well, no, I think Gibson absolutely has a problem. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, so that's my concern. And then they also brought J.D. McKissick back, which is going to eat into his,
which was
his
almost
receiving.
like great because he was almost free of JD.
If he was free of JD,
the Bills signed JD and Washington
for a day, For a day, we had free Antonio Gibson fully complete.
So he loses the third down.
That was
work.
the only time that I was in on Antonio Gibson. And
then he loses the third down work. And
I actually made a massive trade around that time. I traded away Jonathan Taylor, and I got back Elijah Moore, Antonio Gibson, and then a 2022 first, a 2023 first, a 2024 first, and a 2022 second, and a 2023 second. So
really,
what
you're saying is, once the Jets get a new quarterback, you are loaded with the picks and Elijah Moore.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I wanted a running back in that deal. And the best they could offer was Antonio Gibson. So I said,
"What's your team like? What's your outlook for this season?"
So I have a philosophy basically where I don't ever go full tank. Like that's never my thing. Full tear down rebuild. Philosophically, I just think it's like in a season, it's like so sometimes luck, but also just like. It can swing one way or the other so easily, so quickly, where it's like, if you can make it to the playoffs, it's anyone's game. You could have I've seen the worst roster, like objectively the worst roster that made the playoffs win the championship. I've seen that before.
Just get hot. Like look at Amon-Ra St. Brown last year.
Exactly. Right. And so if you have some of those players, it's like, and so that's the reasoning behind that for me is where it's like, I'm going to try to make the playoffs. If I'm like really, truly out of the playoffs, then maybe I sell some of my more like short-term, like kind of problems in Dynasty and stuff like that. But I really don't try to sell or go all in one way or the other. Really. I just think I can have a contender almost every year. So I lost last year in the championship game because of the Najee touchdown when there was less than 2 minutes left in the game and they were up 14 or whatever, and he decided to just run a 30-yard touchdown in for no reason. Wow. I literally lost my championship.
This is why you can't go rank. Yeah, this is why you're not ranking.
Oh, that's why he's lucky like top 5.
The truth comes out. Okay.
Oh God, no, that was killer. But I won a couple other ones, so it's okay. And I think the Steelers actually did help me. They helped me win a survivor, like eliminator type thing earlier in the year as well. So I wasn't as mad. Yeah. All right.
I do like Najee. Okay. So we had one final thing before we wrap up the show, and something that obviously I really liked to get from our guests, and there may be further down the line something that we do with this a little bit more, but we'll see. It's our Dad Bod Squad. And if you don't know what Dad Bod Squad stands for, it's Definitely always drafting before others do. Kind of lame, kind of awesome, kind of similar to the my guys on fantasy footballers. So Conan, what is your QB, RB, wide receiver, tight end, dad bod squad? I think you said you might have some changes to that, which is fine. I'm just curious what your squad is. Or was that just a
Yeah,
Tyreek?
no, I think I got I got a solid 4. I originally Lazard as my wide receiver, but I have a different name because I feel like that's cheating. We've already talked about him. But so my quarterback for the dad bod team, highlighted above with my love for Tyreek and Waddle, it is Tua. I just think that he's shown the connection with Waddle, and he's just shown the efficient. He's a good deep ball passer. Like the numbers tell us that he didn't throw all too often, but when he
cutting
did,
out, Rob?
he
Hold on, Conan.
was actually pretty efficient.
Conan, real quick.
So
I think you were disconnecting a little bit. So kind of run it from. You said you actually might still be disconnecting right now. So give it a second here. You think the internet by now? It's 2020 fucking 2. Oop. I don't like dropping F-bomb on here. It's 2022
okay,
and it's the internet's like I have the same issues. Like you have the same issues.
Yeah, that's what was going on earlier.
Like, what website do we need to create that makes this an amazing platform where we don't get these robotic sort of sounds? It's insane. Oh yeah, he for sure gone.
He's on 0 out of 10.
He's on 0. Like his face got like the distorted line in it.
Is that how mine was when I cut out?
No, yours was just frozen. It was great though, because you were just talking. I'm sad because I wanted to get his dad bod squad. Did you hear him?
I heard him.
Not yet. You're not back yet. His face cleared up, but now it's blurry again.
Back down. Yeah. Damn.
It's all those roommates, man.
Okay.
I don't have any more to talk about. We could talk about our bold predictions some more.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson's he's done.
He's done.
He was RB10 last year. He's going to finish RB30 this year.
What do you have? 11 TDs? Because it was like insane.
Too many.
And
they're all gone to Brian Robinson.
Nah, I don't know about that. Are you drafting Brian Robinson at all? No.
No,
but I'm ready to pick him up in my FA.
Are you going to draft Antonio Gibson?
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
That's where I'm at. I'm just staying away from that whole
backfield. Well, you just said that 10 touchdowns are going to Brian Robinson.
First off, I don't think there's going to be 10 rushing touchdowns with that offense. They're all going to T-Mac.
Oh, wow. Gross. Maybe if I disconnect him off of this, that will help. Doubt it, though.
Doubt it. Unfortunately, I think it's an error on his side, which I had plenty today. So I can't complain. I had too many issues.
Common. There's nothing you can do about it, dude. That's what I'm saying. Let's create a Dad Bod Fantasy Squad website that streams.
I can do that.
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
No robotic sounds.
No internet needed.
Whoa. So we're just live all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just bugging people's houses.
Come check us out.
I want to give Conan here like another minute. I know we're running so late on time. I wonder if he's saying something. His computer just straight froze. Oh no.
Oh no.
And maybe I can ask him. What's your dad bod squad? And I could just read it off. I'll read it off.
Oh no. His computer froze out on him.
Yeah.
Nah. That's unfortunate. He's a great guy too. Again, if you guys don't follow him, go follow him. Because he's a fun follow.
At one stat, one day.
Yes, sir. The number one.
The number one. He hasn't sent it yet.
He wants to get back in here.
We were
with us.
flowing, man.
We were. That was a good little end there. Had some issues in the beginning.
It froze out. We froze out on the end.
Well, it was getting. I'm saying it was getting there. After my whole, it was definitely a technical difficulty day for everybody.
Wait. So you said it was something with the cord, but you
Yes.
seem to have fixed that somehow.
I swapped my
Micro USB.
yeah. I flipped
There he
it and
is. I heard the noise.
Is he back? There
He's
he is.
back.
Good thing we waited.
You made
we had
it.
You. We got you.
He doesn't hear us yet.
Hey,
Hey,
You're back.
what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
I
There
don't
we
think it was
go.
on what's going on.
I know.
Hello?
I
Are we? Am I? It sounds like I'm here. It sounds like I'm
You're
here. I
back.
can hear you.
You're
back.
here. You're
Yeah,
here.
we're
good.
Yep.
All right. I don't know what's. I noticed like midway through my rant, I was like, I don't hear anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. But
Oh no.
So-
Oh no.
I'll get back into what I was
Oh no.
saying. I just think obviously
Hey, Conan. Conan.
Two.
I think you're freezing again.
Uh.
He's big freezing. I think we got.
No.
I'm gonna message him one more time.
He wants to get these out. I want to let him.
No, I feel bad.
No.
Yeah, bro. I think you're chopping up.
Well, solid episode. We're gonna have to have him on
What is
again,
going-
so we don't have these.
what's going on?
Oh,
You sounded pretty clear
sounded
there,
good there. And
Conan.
All right.
Was that you? That's
I'm just not
him.
going to touch anything else. All right. So, like I was saying, it's just I don't think Tua has to play that, great. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
I could hear you. It's choppy.
Me?
But I heard what you said. Tua doesn't have to play that great to be probably a top 12 is what I'm going to assume. Fill in the blank. No, we lost him. now. Now I heard you, dude. It's playing with our hearts too.
yeah,
'cause,
this is it's
yo,
pulling
pop
strings
in.
right now.
You were like, all we heard, you just did a whole thing, and it was like, and that's all we heard. Yeah, I got you
Yep.
now. When you go watch this back, you're gonna laugh because like it's just weird. Conan, maybe just kind of rip it off and like let it be what it is. The QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end.
Damn.
Did he even hear me?
I don't know.
Oh,
Give him a message and we'll get it out.
Hello? I think we got to call it, dude.
I can hear you guys. It's so weird.
You're just choppy.
We got you right now. Rip it off. QB, wide receiver, running back, tight end. Do it.
Hello.
Yeah.
My. Okay.
Lost him.
It's looking good now. As soon as I tried to click somewhere else,
It's so delayed.
it looked like
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna end up talking over him
a wonky.
on this delay that we're gonna listen to. I'm gonna actually cut him off to maybe stop that.
There we go.
So his dad bod squad is Tua, Travis Etienne, baby.
Wow.
I love that one. Alan Lazard and Cole Kmet. Sorry for the last 5 minutes. I swear it happens to all of us. I see him shaking his head in the background. I pop him back in. Hopefully he can kind of get to say bye. Dude, Robbie and I are thinking about creating a website that hosts
we're gonna do our own.
streaming. We're gonna host our own.
Yeah,
something.
can do
we're
that.
gonna go beyond the internet.
Yeah,
it's gonna be live on live. No, but Coded, I don't know if you can hear me, but thank you so much for coming out, man. Your stats are on point. You're well spoken. You're a fun dude. We appreciate you coming out, man. You bring a lot of good information, and you brought it to our show, and we appreciate you for that.
100%.
That Dad Bod Squad is A1. We love it. If you guys ain't following them, go check them out at One Stat One Day.
He's the man. It's a fun follow.
It's in our title. You can post GIFs with Robbie because if you see
right.
the GIFs,
you
know
see the
it's
Dad Bod
Robbie.
GIFs. It's me, baby.
Yeah. And you can follow us on Twitter as well at DadBodFS. Find us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. We'll be posting this recording to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio. I say it all the time. All the major streaming platforms for podcasts. Check it out. But for myself, for Robbie Bobby, for Conan Groon, peace.
Doses.